This episode is powered by Safety FM.
This podcast is being sponsored by SafetyConsultantBlueprint.com.
SafetyConsultant.us group is a group that is set up for other people that are safety consultants and those that want to be safety consultants. A resource site that will give you the ideas that you need for growing your business, such as teaching resources, because you got to be a teacher when you're out there. And that's going to be part of your base for growing your clients. Get your chops done. So that we have OSHA compliance topics, including written programs and assessments that you could use for getting your business going. And also, it's a group community of other people that are doing what you're doing as a safety consultant.
In this week's episode, we talked to Pedro Maciel. And Pedro is one of the first people that gave me an iTunes review, which was awesome. We've been in contact from time to time and LinkedIn. And he is a member of my Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups with an S/safety consultant. And right now, I believe the group has about 2,200 people on there, including Pedro, some of which are active consultants, some of which are just safety officers, some are just actually people who are going to be safety consultants and just want to get the feel of what to do. People ask questions and all that. So it's a great group, and I got to be friendly with Pedro during that time period. And I decided to reach out to him, see if he would like to be on the show. It was really cool talking to him. I got to understand that he started his business after listening to my podcast. So I thought that was pretty cool, as well as he started his own podcast, The X Factor of Safety. And I believe he's almost 10 episodes in right now. And he's really, it's really one of those people who are taking action. So we talk about his life as he transitioned from the military into the private sector and then started his own business. He and his family, 4 girls, his wife and 4 girls, they've moved from Texas to Virginia and now in Atlanta as they're seeking new opportunities. And he's been in the whole spectrum of actual practitioner to safety officer to corporate safety officer, and then as a contract safety. So we kind of talk about a few of those things. We talk about behavior-based safety. We also go over some stuff about human and organization performance and just the differences there as far as our personal field. Talked a little bit about time management for growing your business, where he asked me a couple of questions about how to actually grow your business a little bit more. He had some issues with that, so I give him some tips on that. And then also we just basically catch up and talk a little bit about a few things related to corporate training and networking and podcasting and all that stuff. So it's a great episode. I think you're going to have some fun like I did. Pedro's just a really cool cat, and I really think you should listen to the X Factor of Safety podcast. If you're on iTunes, give him a review and just get a good understanding of Pedro and truly who he is as a man, and you'll have a good time with this episode as I did. So stay tuned. We're going to just go ahead and get into that episode right now. And then after the episode, I'll give you the tip of the week. So let's talk to Pedro.
Well, I'm Pedro Maciel, host of the X Factor of Safety podcast. Thanks for having me on, Sheldon. I greatly appreciate it. It was definitely cool for you to reach out and say, hey, do you want to be on the podcast? That was definitely great.
Excellent. That means I really butchered your name. Because when I said thank you, did you hear that episode when I thanked you for the episode for the
Yeah, I did.
I butchered your name, didn't I?
It was good. It was good. I'm used to. It's hard to pronounce my last name, and especially the way it's spelled. That people throw R's. Maciel.
Maciel.
Yeah, Maciel. So, and it definitely is hard for somebody to, if they hear it for the first time, they don't catch it right away, and then after a couple of times, then they're like, "Oh, okay, I got it." But I've had it, Michelle, Macio.
What do they call you in the military? What would all your you guys call you in the military?
Yeah, they Maciel. They were like, they would throw the R in it. All my drill instructors and everybody that would call me by my last name, they would throw an R in there. Maciel. I was like, okay.
You have any of those drill sergeants that said, don't be eyeballing me, mayonnaise?
Yes. There was a couple that ended up telling me that when I would try to correct them, but not try to correct them on my last name. So
yeah. They're like, do we care, Private?
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting to get through the military with my last name, and then they would have to look at my name tag, my name badge, and pronounce it. They're like, Maciel. Okay. And they got it.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I never served, but thank you for your service. And truly, I appreciate it when I get a hold of some of the veterans and just say, hey, man, I am so grateful. And one of my best buddies is, it's funny because he's retired Air Force, but he works for the Navy, and they give him hell. Flyboy.
Yeah.
Between the two, or between the services, I guess you guys always have some sort of rivalry going.
Yes. And I was in the Navy, so it's us against the Marines.
All right.
Yeah, we always have that, that rivalry between the Marines, and then the Air Force and the Army and the Marines, the Coast Guard and the Navy.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, my father-in-law was Coast Guard.
Nice.
That's right. When did you actually get into service? So, well, first, where are you from?
I'm originally from Houston, Texas, born and raised.
H-Town?
Yes. I got in right out of high school. Left for the military right out of high school. I took the summer off, had some fun, and then went straight to the military. Decided to walk on my own 2 feet and serve my country. All
right. And how long were you in?
6 years.
6, okay. During that time, was it wartime or not?
It was. I went in 2002. So it was right after the 9/11 and
Desert Storm.
Desert Storm, Iraqi freedom. So that's when, right after, a year after the 9/11 happened, I ended up going into the service.
Wow. So that was probably, as a young man, getting into, the thick of things. That must have really shaped your life, and especially now as an adult.
Yes, it did. I grew up very, very quickly. It taught me a lot of discipline, a lot of camaraderie on how to pick somebody up when they're feeling down, and how to work as a team, and kind of stems into me getting into safety a little bit.
And from your safety side, where did you bridge that gap from regular officers? I'm hearing to safety. Or was that part of your duties when you're in?
I was actually what they call a yeoman. So I was like an admin, dealing with all the records and, accountability of all the personnel on the ship. So it was pretty interesting transitioning from an admin role into a safety role. But before I got into safety, I ended up getting into actual manual labor. I was a laborer. I did catalyst change out, confined space entries, and then I got into safety. So I bridged that gap by coming out of the service and actually working with my hands and being subjected to different types of hazards. And then I told myself, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go into confined space. And that's how it ended up transitioning into me becoming a safety professional.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm from the wastewater side, so my safety career was on the wastewater field and doing wastewater for a long time as an operator. I was just like, I'm just done. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be a supervisor, and then I worked my way up to plant manager, but a lot of that is the same thing you were dealing with, permit required confined space and a lot of chemical exposure, because we did gas chlorine and a whole bunch of laboratory work and stuff like that. But then when I got out of the field as far as being a full-time safety person for a company, then that's when I transitioned into the consulting in 2008. But man, every time I was going into one of those confined spaces, especially in those Tyvek suits, man, I'm just like, I'm hating life.
Yeah.
I can't stand those Tyveks.
Yeah, I mean, that was the Tyveks, and then not only that, because you had the Tyveks and the catalyst changeouts that we were doing, I ended up having to have a harness and retractable lanyard, and you had to go down 120 feet and take all the stuff inside the big silo out, and it's pretty scary, that manhole that gets mighty pin size when you're all the way at the bottom.
Yeah.
And
tell me a little bit about your when you decided that you're ready to get out, and was it 6 years are up and you decided to get out, or did it come to I know Nate Bremen, he had an injury, and Nate was Redbeard, if you're familiar with the
I know Nate
guys. So Nate was Marines, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And so he got injured, and then he pretty much was able to do an honorable discharge at that point. So what was the transition for you?
I decided to get out, after about the first 3 years of being in the military. I was going through a lot of schooling. I was on a submarine, so that took a lot of training. Then I went on a couple of deployments and got to travel the world, and then I just kind of got homesick. I wanted to, see what I can start out on my own, and, transitioned into being a civilian again. So getting out really was, looking back at it now, kind of wish I would have stayed in for 20 years.
Yeah.
Because then in a couple of years, I would have been retiring with, all the good benefits that us veterans get. But, I wanted to see what civilian was like after 6 years of being in the military. And being in Texas and getting into safety, I worked out of the country for about 3 years as a regional safety manager at a GM plant. So that was pretty interesting. And then I came back and got into structural steel in Houston, and ended up staying there for about 2.5 years, and got a offer for a corporate safety director position in Virginia.
Nice.
Which then led us to Virginia, and they ended up, helping me relocate, and we stayed there. And then I didn't want to be the corporate safety director anymore. I kind of wanted to be on my own in a sense, and then we ended up moving to Atlanta. And now I'm contract safety for Sea Logic, which has me in San Angelo at the moment.
Oh, nice. And is that contract through your personal company, your Safety First? I forget your company name now.
Safety First International.
Safety First International.
Yes.
I knew it was Safety First. I couldn't figure out the other part. So Safety First International. Nice.
Yes.
When did you decide to do that?
Shortly after listening to your podcast.
Which one?
The Safety Consultant podcast.
Yeah. That's my only one. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So I was an influencer to you.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were. And it definitely, branching out and starting on your own. It's a bit scary.
Yeah.
I was definitely petrified to kind of go out on my own, but it ended up paying off. And, luckily I have a lot of people I can turn to, you being one of them.
Yeah.
For advice and guidance on consulting.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's great. One of the things that I saw, in you're the first person to actually give me an iTunes review. And I was reading, I was like, man, this just made my day. So awesome. And I didn't even know how to get to him. Jay Allen from Safety FM had to show me how to do it. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. So thank you so much for that one. And then when I saw that you're doing the X Factor of Safety podcast, and I was listening to your flow, and I'm like, damn, rather smooth. You got this voice, and you got the music in the back like I used to do in my first few episodes. Yep. So tell me about your a lot of your shows. You tend to go a lot on the safety side as a behavioral-based safety person. So I figured that might be some of your background and training, because I heard, and I remember there was one episode, I believe the one with Tamara. You're interviewing Tamara and Jason Lucas. Yes. So it was you and Tamara Paris and Jason Lucas. And you were thinking about BBS for one of the things that you're mentioning as an example. And for those that aren't familiar with BBS, is behavioral-based safety, and that came from the Aubrey Daniels view of safety. And if you are in safety, you've probably heard of behavioral-based safety, and then you've also probably heard of human and organization performance, which is like the Crips and the Bloods of safety. People are like West Side. Yeah. It's like, no. It seems like that, like if they're always at odds, So it kind of felt that way to me listening to that episode, because I heard Tamara on her side kind of really saying, well, it didn't look like this person in your description, and I can't remember the story, but you know what? I do remember. She was telling, she was doing an audit, and she did an audit, and the team of two was doing something correct. I believe it was on a ladder, and they were helping each other the way they were. The supervisor comes in and then says, hey, why are you wasting some time? Get off that ladder. He doesn't need to secure the ladder, and didn't even see her watching this. And then she goes ahead and says, well, the behavior of the individual wasn't at fault. It was pretty much they didn't feel empowered to talk to that supervisor. And the exchange was good. I enjoy that, because truly you have to, in safety and health, we get challenged a lot, right? We get challenged in some of these things. So in a situation with BBS versus HOP, what side are you? I know you're more BBS, but are you pure BBS, or are you a little bit of both?
I'm a well-rounded plethora of both. All right. I think the HOP, in a sense, will definitely play out to understanding the human behavior, because understanding human behavior and how to organize that to your advantage will then kind of trickle into your behavioral-based safety. So they go hand in hand. The BBS, you got to identify the bad behavior with the good behavior, see who needs, training or recoaching or a mentoring of some sort. And I just think that both sides of the fence, have their pros and cons. The behavioral based safety, it's definitely good if you utilize it for good and not to go punish somebody for a bad behavior, but to use that as a learning tool. And, the human error factor and the humanization of a person performing a task and possibly getting reprimanded because they might have did it wrong, plays a big part. And I think the hop goes not only for the workers, but the mid-level management, senior management, to understand their people that are making the money.
Yeah. And, way to straddle the fence there, buddy. Don't worry, I do that too. And truly, I'm instructor for the Certified Occupational Safety Specialist Group and the Certificate of Occupational Safety Manager. But the COSS program, COSS, they actually have a full module on behavioral-based safety. So I teach, every time I do a COSS class, I'm teaching students about, behavioral-based safety and how to use it, how to do it in observation and everything else. But it's only a 1-hour session. But I've also written, I can't tell you the people because of contract, but one of the online course people that I write for, I guess if you go to my profile, you can see all the ones I write for. But one of them, I had to write a 30-hour course, a BBS course for them. And so this 30-hour course I wrote, I really had to dig in deep on it and get a good idea of it. And I came to understand it so much more deeply, and I think it's being used as a weapon to punish people more than it is using as a tool to figure out what is the antecedent to this behavior, or how can I affect this antecedent for that behavior, or affect the consequence to that behavior, so that I can make sure that worker is going to be protected. And I always found like this. I don't know if you're seeing it the same way, because I know you're a VBS guy as well. Probably, I don't know if you're going to give yourself 40, 60, 60, 40 VBS hop, but I'm almost like I think for me, I'm probably 60, 40 VBS. I got to be honest. But what about you? Before I give me my other thought, what are you leaning to? I'm right now.
I'm about the same. A 60-40 split.
Damn it, Pedro! Come on now.
A 60-40 split on the BBS, just because that's what it was ingrained, and to actually tailor a BBS safety program and make it work, you can't use it as a weapon. It has to be beneficial for the people that you're going to get your feedback from, which are your workers.
Yep.
They're the ones that are going to give you the feedback and understand the behaviors and training on those behaviors, what to look out for, what is safe, what is unsafe. And then that is how a BBS, system and program will succeed. But at the same time, you tailor into the hop and the actual performance of a human being, and it's all for the worker, but behavior-based safety, again, okay, so maybe I'm 70-30 BBS. Right. There we go.
Yeah, well, for my big wraparound of that one was truly when I started thinking about and understanding what it really is. I find the fault is no one spends the time to figure out what that trigger is that brings the thought. Then after the thought comes the behavior. So if no one goes back to see, what was the initial trigger that got someone thinking, oh, well, it's good enough right now. I don't need to worry about hard hat in a hard hat zone, or, whatever the behavior was at the time. They just want to look at the behavior. And instead of having a coaching session where it's not me telling you how I would have done it, but you're really listening to find out why you're doing what you're doing, and maybe you're onto something, and let's have this communication with each other. It seems more like a way of lashing out to the workers. And then on the hop side, if the organization and the systems aren't working right, and if the systems are dysfunctional, you're setting up the worker for failure. So, that's, the hop to me. And I still don't think of hop as hop. I actually think of it as, the Nuclear Regulatory Agency, that's where it all started from, right? So I keep thinking of the nuclear guys, and, the system they had there was, your system has to work in order for the behavior to fall in line, and your organization has to have a culture that is going to be strong. And it's all like little pieces that have to fit together. If they don't fit together right, the puzzle's not going to look right.
Yep.
That's my view. There's my it's right there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you said it perfectly. You have to have a culture. And how are you going to build a culture without understanding the processes, which the hop comes into play, and then the behaviors and the way of thinking to make your culture what you need it to be. And that is where they go hand in hand. But understanding the behavior of the worker, understanding what they are thinking, why are they thinking it, how are they thinking about performing a task, and then jumping over to the hop side and figuring out the right processes and procedures for the organization to be successful.
Yeah, it seems like there's something in the middle there that needs to be met, so that, again, it might become, as people now are saying, safety differently, like Sidney Dekker, the safety differently guy. Mm-hmm. Is that Safety Dekker? Sidney Dekker? I think it is. I think it is the safety differently. Yeah, I always end up getting him mixed up with someone else. But for my 2 cents worth, I really believe that when you start thinking about safety in many different ways, that you really have to be open. And the BBS, yes, obviously you need to get to behavioral mastery. And if third, fourth time you see somebody doing the same behavior, all right, yeah, we can't keep having this. Something has to happen at that point. We have to strive for behavioral mastery at some point in our behavioral based safety program. So that's the hard part. But for you, now that you're working for yourself, you're site safety right now. Is that what you're currently doing? Yeah, I'm the site safety manager. And do they get you for a long-term contract? Did you end up having to do something where you're an employee of them or a subcontractor of them? An employee of the organization. Okay. So and it's a long contract. All kinds of perks that I get with that and the way I structure my the contract. But yeah, it's a longer contract, and I didn't want to travel, but again, working for yourself, sometimes you have to travel to go make the money. So absolutely. So it definitely is working out, and I've been blessed with the wife that's very supportive, and she likes what we're doing, and she's on board. Oh, good. How many kids? 4. 4. Yeah, 4 daughters. Brother. Daughters. Oh, Lord. Yeah. 4 girls. I got 1 girl and 1 boy. We got in that order. And my daughter, she's living in Colorado Springs now. I'm an older guy, Yeah. So our kids are out of the house. So we got the empty nest thing going. And my son's he's 20. Well, they're both going to be 23 in a couple of months and 21. So they're both out of the house living their life. But truly, 4 girls, man. Whew. Yeah. You got your hands full. What's their ages? My oldest is 15. I have a 13-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 9-year-old. Wow. That's not too bad, though. No. Yeah, no. That's not bad at all. Not in those ASF, not to say anything about your girl, but middle school is really rough. When kids go through middle school, I was like, man, can't we send them to middle school island and then have them come back in high school? Yes. It's the preteen stage, and the hormone change, and it's just, oh my goodness. Yeah. So it's a blessing in disguise, me working out of town. Yeah. Yeah, I remember at one point my son and I were like outnumbered. Even our pets were girls, so we were like just the only 2 boys with like pet dogs that are girls and ladies in the house, and we're like, oh, let's go play ball, shoot some hoop. So that's great for you. When you're speaking of pets, I'm sorry. Speaking of pets, my dog is a girl as well. So yeah, definitely outnumbered. Surrounded by them. Oh, that's great. Well, usually there's like 1, maybe 2 your younger daughters that might gravitate towards doing what dad does. That's one thing. My daughter is a daddy's girl, and I'm loving it. I loved it the whole time growing up. I'm like, yes, it's awesome.
Yeah, my youngest is the daddy's girl. They're all daddy's girls, and they know daddy's going to be there for a long time to protect them. But the youngest one, she has me wrapped around her finger. She's a daddy's girl, and she has me wrapped around her finger. I can't even lie about that.
All right, I won't play this one for her. Save you some money.
Yeah.
When they're younger, pretty much it's like just disaster. But then as they get older, it's really, really cool. And both, my kids have been awesome. So I think that fatherhood side is really cool, because truly, if you could connect with even your workers that way, where you give them, a good understanding that, we're in this together. Here we are. I've got a family. You've got a family. You get comfortable with each other. That safety message comes across a little bit easier as you're really starting to, get to know people. And it's tough if you're a consultant and you don't really get the chance to get in until, like tomorrow, I'm doing a mock OSHA audit for a client, and I don't really get there, but maybe once a quarter. So I build rapport, but it's not the same as if you're site safety. That's another side of consulting that you really have to, think of yourself as being one of the regular guys and girls and hanging out in there and being part of the team. So
yeah,
is that where you are right now?
Yes. Yeah, it was a little difficult getting there. And like you said, building that rapport. But once you build that rapport and become part of the team, it makes it a lot easier to be able to, one, be away for a little bit and then come back, and they know, hey, Pedro's back. We got to straighten up, tighten up, and, be on our P's and Q's. But it's definitely good to build rapport. And like I said, I was, started out as a laborer, so I'm all for, building rapport with the workers, making sure they understand that I'm here as a support system to make sure that they go home in one piece.
Yeah, excellent. And how'd you find the time, and what got you into the podcasting side? I'm grateful that you're able to say that I helped you with the starting your own business, but as far as the podcast, what got you thinking of that?
Actually, you and Jay Allen, listening to both of your guys' podcasts, I was like, man, I think I can do this. I think I might be able to have a good radio voice. Yeah, you do, man. Appreciate it. Thanks. And yeah, so just listening to different podcasts. And then I was listening, at the time to some Tony Robbins and some Gary Vee, listening to their podcast and how they structured it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Might as well. Start.
Yeah, you did it. Good, man. I love me some Tony Robbins. My wife and I, as soon as we got out of what I was doing, I was working for the state. Most of my career, I was working for government entities. So I was working for the state of Florida, finally got out, and I'm like, man, I've been institutionalized. I just keep thinking about clocking in and doing stuff and hiding in my office. And now that I'm working for myself, I can't do that anymore. So we decided to do Unleash the Power Within, which is a Tony Robbins immersive conference. And we did that together. Awesome. If you get a chance to do it, you should do it with your wife.
Me and my wife, we were talking about it. We were looking for one, and there was a couple. I think there was one in Las Vegas and then one in Orlando that we were looking into. But the timing, the timing didn't work out. But we are definitely looking into doing that. I hear it's great.
Yeah, it's truly great, because one of the things that you have to do when you're becoming your own boss is you have to break those things that you're so used to when you're working for someone else, and taking a chance on yourself. You really are, you're a trendsetter in your own space. So you may not have many people around you that is doing what you're doing. So you need someone else to help you with that. And Tony is one of those great mentors, if you will, to the masses. And so if you and your wife get a chance to do it, you should really, really do it.
We will. Thank you. We definitely will do that.
Yeah. So X Factor, why that name?
I like the X-Men. and kind of playing off of the Safety Justice League. No, the X Factor, the way I think about it, and it being the X Factor, everybody has an X Factor, whether it's something that, pushes you to your limit, something that, gets your wheels turning, something that pisses you off. Everybody has that X factor. And of safety, just, I'm a safety professional. So figuring out what people's X factor are in, organization, in, performance, in behavioral-based safety, I have a couple of episodes where I actually interview workers and seeing what their X factor is of safety. And it's kind of interesting to do that. And so that's how I came up with the name, the X Factor of Safety.
Oh, nice. And are you, like, right now I could see your 7 or 8 episodes right now that are released?
9.
9 that are released?
Yes.
So, you know what? Your first 3, I can't find anywhere. It starts at 4.
Yeah. And it was crazy. Kind of the same thing to where I had a computer. I had the episodes on there, 1, 2, and 3. And some reason, all of my data ended up going bye-bye. I tried logging into Apple and trying to recoup what I had on there, and man, it was just gone. I was mad.
Yeah.
But
imagine.
So I figured, if they come up somewhere, I think I have them on a USB somewhere in the storage unit. But if they do come up, I'll repost them again, just so that way that nobody thinks, so, why is he starting on 4? He only has 7. And I have 10, going on 10. I have 9 now. So 10's coming real soon.
Well, just do an episode that basically summarizes 1 through 3. And just say the lost X Factor of Safety episodes and just promote it that way.
Yeah. No, that's a great idea.
Yeah. It's one of those things. Might as well.
Yeah.
Don't go back. Go forward. Just keep going forward.
Keep going forward.
Yeah. You spend too much time going back, and then you're going to want to. A lot of people, they talk themselves out of some things when they want to get perfection. So you've probably heard the saying that the enemy of perfect is good. Yeah. That's one of those big ones that people love saying. Mm-hmm. I'm on the opposite, just throw it out there. Just get it up, because if there's no action in anything you do, it'll always be stuck in your head, and then you're going to talk yourself out of it, or someone else is going to influence you to talk you out of it. Just do it. It may not be perfect. Just do it. Get it out there. Get it, again, just like behaviors, it's a trigger, then the triggers gets a thought, then the thought gets an action, gets a behavior.
Yep.
So something triggered you to say, I want to do this thing. Do it. Get that anything out. Don't think about it. Don't get stuck in the second phase of thought too long. And you did it, man. You got episodes under your belt, and you got more episodes. So don't go back. Keep going forward, man.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you said it perfectly. Take action. I didn't think I was going to be this far into podcasting, but I am. And, I didn't think I was going to be working for myself, and I am. And it all depends on the actions that you take. It's definitely good if you have a thought, write it down, think about it, then take action on it. Do it.
Yeah. Excellent. Any questions for me? Well, you got me. And I would love to find out, how I influenced you, if there's any possible way, because that really encourages me to keep going on. But it's not about me, man. It's about you. So I want to help you out in any way I can.
No, one of the questions I do have for you is clients. Getting clients has been a little struggle for me. What kind of advice would you give? How do you promote and market so you are able to get more clients?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question, because truly, if you're not thinking about how to get more clients, you're going to end up getting stagnant. And I had this one time, I was sitting in a coach. I think I only went first class one time because I had a shoulder surgery and I didn't want anybody to hit my shoulder. I can't even say it now. My shoulder. So I paid for first class. But one of these times I was in coach, I was sitting next to a guy, old guy, and he was in his he must have been close to 80, almost 90. And he's a restaurateur, and he's filthy rich, and he never acted that way. He wasn't, very demonstrative, nothing, just a little guy. And he told me, he says, we went through the whole flight. He was telling me his story. And he told me that as he started his business, and it was hot dogs, he became like a hot dog king before he started buying different restaurants and pretty much making it on his own. And he said, never let a client own more than 20% of your business. He says, because if they go under, or if they decide to go with someone else, you're going to be lost and you're not going to be able to find anything. So his key was, you're always looking to advance your business, or you're always looking to get more and more clients. And for me in the safety space, one of the things I learned from Tony Robbins, actually, it was one of his interviews that I was listening to. And the interview was with someone who was in the real estate space, and his name will probably come like a little later, but he's in the real estate space, and he says what he likes to do is he 4X's each relationship. And I've talked about that before in the podcast, but the best way to get clients is to get your clients that you had before and go back to them. And then the best way to get new clients is to get referrals from those people. And then the third way to get new clients in safety is by training. And truly, training has been one of the things. So if I do anything for free and I'm giving it away, I'll give it away in training first. And then the people who like me in training, I would say maybe 20% of the audience may want to have some other services for you. So if you're going to do some training for free for someone or for an organization, just have the caveat is, hey, I'm not going to hit my material all the whole training session, but I want to be able to put out some flyers. I want to put out, something else, or hold your own training sessions. So you call, whoever is your local safety and health association, say, hey, I'll give you some value by this training. You help me by talking to your members. They come out, and then that could be your way to go out there. And another way, don't worry, this is being recorded, right? So you can always just play back the episode. Don't be scared of reaching out to municipalities. Your cities and counties, they will always go back to you if they like you. So they need help, especially in the liquid utility fields, with the water and wastewater people. They need in a bad way. And I know it because that's the field I'm in, but I go to cities and counties all the time, parishes, and once you get in with them, they'll always have you back. So that would be the way to do it. So you would probably have to, if you're breaking up your week, let's say you're working a 40-hour work week, I would spend maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours 3 times a week when you get home, and you're going to just go through some of the local municipalities, local cities and counties, and just look through their website and just kind of figure out who's the contact person. And it's going to be the safety and health person, or it's going to be mostly it's going to be risk management or safety and health. And then just start calling or emailing them. And just 3 hours and basically is what you're going to look for, so you don't burn yourself out, because you still, you still have your family and everything else. Don't burn yourself out, because then you got no hope. But, 3 hours, all you're doing is research, and then send out an email to somebody and tell them, hey, I would like to come by your utility, talk with you, one of your breaks or something like that. Or very simply, hey, I could do a free training for you guys, a half hour worth, and I'll come to your safety meeting. And here's my available time. And get your foot in the door that way.
Okay. That's awesome. Man, you cannot write this stuff down quick enough.
You can't.
It's awesome. I'm going to definitely have to come back and replay the episode.
Yeah. Replay the episode. Because truly, and the reason why I'm doing this, like recently, I had a lifestyle change for my wife and I. We were full-time RVers. So that's what empty nest looks like to us. Kids are gone, let's get an RV. So we were out on the road, but now we're back stationary at a home base in Ocala, Florida. And I had to actually go around to start that principle again. So the first places I reached out to was the local college, and I got involved with the person that does the community college. Well, it's not community. Most of them are like state colleges now, but the people that are doing the CEU programs. So they reach out to the community for corporate training. I tell them, hey, I'm a safety and health trainer, and all of a sudden they're calling me to do work. Next week I'll be at the local prison for the females, and it's a woman's prison, but I'm going to be in there doing an OSHA 10-hour class for them as a contract employee for the college.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it does help, and it works. It really works. You just have to. I wouldn't spend my time going to networking meetings because it's really, really tedious. It's really tedious. I don't know if you've ever done those where you go to a breakfast and you talk to people and shake hands and pass out business cards. Oh.
Yeah, a couple. I've been to a couple, and yeah.
Did you hate them?
It's very tedious, and in a sense, it's better to promote yourself, and the networking. Yeah, you might have that one or two golden nuggets that get you some good business. And I'm definitely not knocking them. They're valuable, to an extent. But yeah, it was just for all the time and effort and talking and discussing and to not come out with any business. It definitely, it's frustrating. Didn't make it worth my while. Yeah, it's frustrating.
Because you don't get the decision makers. And then when you do get a decision maker, they're talking to their buddy that they came out to see, and you can't get a word in edgewise.
Yep.
Those truly, it's a waste of time unless you're volunteering. And once you're volunteering, you become into that clique, then now that becomes a different dynamic for you.
Yeah, definitely. You got to be part of that inner circle in order to get your foot in the door, and just it's very, very time consuming.
Yeah, and also remember what lights you up too. So even if it's not in the safety space, something that may light you up that you're just excited about, find a way to make money at that too, because there's plenty of times that there's going to be downtime in safety and health, but you can make money doing something else, being a coach part-time or, something else. I've even told people, hey, if you like driving, go ahead and be on Lyft or something else.
Uber,
do whatever it takes part-time and do what will keep bringing money in, but you want to make sure that you always seek to advance your business a little a day. And then remember, no one could be small forever.
Right.
There'll be some times if you're being successful that you're going to end up having to give up the reins. My dad told me that. He's like, I keep telling him, I'm like, Dad, man, I'm tired. I'm too busy. My calendar's crazy. And he goes, Sheldon, you can't be small forever. you got to hire people sometimes. You got to do something. And I'm like, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
Sage advice, right?
Yeah, no. And my grandfather would always tell me, the best thing that you can have is $1 in your pocket and your word. And stick by that. And, I have, my word is bond, and I don't like coming off of a project or a job to where it's not finished or not complete. Yeah. When I say I'm going to complete it, and, God has, blessed me with running, my own consulting business and being able to do all these things, and that's that dollar in the pocket. And so it's definitely good advice. Old advice is definitely good advice, people.
Yeah. No kidding. That's great. Go ahead and plug whatever you got, man. Plug away. Make sure you leave websites or emails or whatever you need, and plug your show.
Yeah, definitely. You can definitely reach me at the X Factor Safety Podcast. That's the podcast. I try to post new content every week. If you need to reach me via email, my email is safetytrainer1215@gmail.com. The consulting business I have is Safety First International LLC. So if you look me up on the web, it's safety1stinc.com. You can find me there. And yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me, Sheldon. I greatly appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. And tell everybody how to subscribe to your channel, to your podcast.
Yes, for the podcast, it's on all platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker. I'm using Anchor. There's a couple of other ones, Castbox.
Wow.
So yeah, wherever you find your favorite podcast, that's where you can find me at. Just look up the X Factor of Safety.
And make sure you do X-Factor, right?
Yes, X-Factor.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was looking it up. I'm like, man, why isn't it here? And then I had to put in the hyphen. I'm like, there we go.
Yeah.
So that's great. I really thank you, Pedro, for coming on. And, if you need me to be on your podcast at any time, just reach out. I'm on. Just tell me when, and I'll call in.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your night, man, and enjoy your time over in Houston. Well, not Houston, but Texas, back home.
Texas. Yeah. Thanks, Sheldon. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good night.
You too.
Do you want to be a safety consultant? Listen to Dr. Jay Allen of Safety FM give his experience after taking the Safety Consultant Blueprint course.
I have actually done research on different consultants and looked at different consulting courses and so on. There is a pretty fancy, very expensive consulting course that is out there. I have actually purchased the consulting course, was interested in it. It has good information, don't get me wrong. But you have a consulting course that really drives people onto focusing on safety and how to become a safety consultant. I will tell you, on your particular course, there was better information in that particular regards than the other consulting course that was more of a generalist form. But I felt like I got more information out of yours on you giving people direct path on what to do step by step. But I really think that you have a genuine good product there that can really assist people if they're interested in becoming a safety consultant.
Register for the Safety Consultant Blueprint at www.safetyconsultantblueprint.com. Enter code PODCAST for a special discount.
Welcome back to the Safety Consultant Podcast. And that was a great interview with Pedro. I had a good time talking to him and really getting to understand him a little bit better and his journey. So I really enjoyed that one. I hope you had some fun listening to him. And before we get into the tip of the week that came out of this episode, something that he mentioned that I really thought, well, that'd be a great tip of the week. I'm going to thank you first and foremost for listening to this podcast, sharing it with your friends, and sharing it with people that you think will get a good benefit from this podcast. I really appreciate that. Every person that has given me some comments or feedbacks or anything has been really great. I appreciate that. For those of you who have purchased the course, which you can find on primus.teachable.com, primus.teachable.com. That is the Safety Consultant Blueprint, and you could also get that at safetyconsultantblueprint.com. And thank you for purchasing the course, and I love helping you. So not only are you getting the course, but you're also getting me, which is, a lot of people, they feel funny because they'll send me a little email after something comes up and they'll say, I got an issue with this, I have a question with this, I know you're busy, and I call them back or I write back, and usually I call back, and just because it's easier to get a good understanding, or I'll get a text from a student and says, hey, what do I do in this situation? So it's not truly just buying the course and I'm done with you. It's buying the course, applying all you can, and when you need some help, you just go ahead, reach out to me, and I am a resource for you. So the course is just basically, some of the things that I've learned throughout the way, and you could go through a self-paced course for yourself and find out what you really, really want right now. And then sometimes you still have a block. So that's right. Shoot me an email. Sheldon, help. And I truly, every student, and I've just contacted you and said, all right, tell me where you're at and let's get to it. And we work it out together. So I want to thank you for purchasing the course and being part of my network now and part of my family. And through this, we're going to help you get your business not only started, but growing, and see what you could do so that you could start supporting your family and you could start having some fun being your own boss, maybe even a podcast. Who knows? I'm all for it. I'll help you, whatever you got. So thank you. And for those of you that are now getting on the new safetyconsultant.us site, thank you. So I just really want to let you know that resource community, you get on there, you become a member. Once you become a member, then again, it's another way of having touch points with me as well as your fellow community members. And just together, we just create a mastermind, a brainstorm, a community that is going to help each other out with our business, with our client needs, with everything we need. Not only the resources that are there, that is going to give you templates and PowerPoints and other things that you need, resources such as pictures you need for your presentations and all that stuff. That's all there, which is good. It's going to help you fast track your business. But really, the community aspect, as that's growing, now we're new. So you people that are, the foundation members, I like to call you, thank you for that. And I really appreciate it. So as we get more and more commitment and more community, that's even better than commitment, more and more community out there, we really be able to help each other. All right. So that's all my thank yous for this week. And I really, really appreciate you. And if you hadn't had a chance to subscribe yet to the podcast, go ahead and do that right now. And hopefully I'll see you in one of the communities that we've built. So we by me. I'm still just me. But anyway, let's get on with the tip of the week. So in talking to Pedro, one of the things that he mentioned that kind of struck me, and it is something that seems to be part of him, is he takes action. And it's great to take action because truly you're only going to learn by taking action. So the tip of the week is plan, but take action. So you want to plan your next move. You want to do things strategically. You want to make sure you're smart at it. You want to listen to podcasts, whatever you need to do to build your resource base. But that doesn't mean anything until you take action. You actually have to fill out the form so that you can start your business. You actually have to go get your insurance so that you now could start getting some work. Everything that you need to do to get your business going, do it. Do it while you're still working for your current employer. That's even better because now you could take weekends or days off or vacation time or whatever you need to build your business. And, it's a little less of the networking, wrong networking, I should say. You could probably do more good for your business by strategically networking and then also planning courses. Go out there and talk to the libraries, talk to cheap places where you could host a class. If you have a church that has a center, do it there. Do a donation to the church and you have your class in the center, and you could actually start building your business a little at a time. So that's the key for this one. I want you to keep thinking about all the little things that you can be doing right now to take action. You got to take action. It's great to get all the information and build up and be ready. Plan. Absolutely plan. I'm not saying miss that part. You got to plan. But you got to take action. Take action. Even if it's wrong action, it's still action. So take action. That's the tip of the week. So I am again grateful that you're listening to me, and I feel that you're going to have a wonderful week. I just feel it in my bones. So have a wonderful week. If you need to reach out to me, you can go to Sheldon Primus. No, which one's? Oh, the email would be sheldon@sheldonprimus.com or sheldon@safetyconsultant.us. All right, so send me your email, send me your thoughts, and if you're on LinkedIn, connect to me. And truly, I will reach you however you reach me. I'll reach back at you. All right, so have a wonderful week. Go get them, and just go get them. All right, see ya.
This podcast is being sponsored by safetyconsultantblueprint.com.
This episode has been powered by Safety FM.